A Missouri clinic is responding after a whistleblower's allegations that the procedures performed there harm children. In a NewsNation TV exclusive, a former caseworker at the Washington University Transgender Center in St. Louis says the clinic provided little oversight and children regretted the surgeries. In February, Jamie Reed filed an affidavit with the Missouri Attorney General saying she witnessed, quote, morally and medically appalling treatment of transgender children and their parents. She also alleges the center is using experimental drugs on children, distributing puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones without individualized assessment. Those allegations prompted Washington University to begin its own investigation. And NewsNation investigative correspondent Rich McHugh has been following this story. So, Rich, what did the university find out?
Hi, Nichole. So Jamie Reed identifies as a queer woman married to a trans man and says she's politically left of Bernie Sanders. And in February, she became the first whistleblower of a pediatric gender center here in the States. And today she finds herself smack in the middle of this debate playing out across America. Here's a little bit of what she told us just a few weeks ago.
It's our standard practice that if you were getting the green light, the letter of support from our internal psychologist, you were only scheduled for 2 visits. That's 2 one-hour visits before you could be given the green light to move forward with transition.
Reed says in some cases, giving these kids drugs without parental consent.
You're alleging that sometimes parents wouldn't even consent to these treatments, yet the hospital would green light them for these children?
So none of the parents were signing written consents.
No, there wasn't. I'm
No.
confused. There's no written consent?
There was, as a standard, they were not asking parents to sign a written consent for this kind of treatment. This is lifelong care that has potential to cause lifetime infertility, and for some kids, we now know, lifetime sexual dysfunction, and we were not requesting or having parents sign a written consent.
Now, after Reed spoke out, the Attorney General of Missouri filed an emergency injunction which would prevent this hospital from performing these procedures. That is set to kick in tomorrow. The ACLU of Missouri filed an emergency appeal on Monday night, or a suit, and that, I am told, is being handled in court today. Meantime, the Washington University did an an internal investigation over 8 weeks, and they released the results on earlier this week. They said the university has concluded that the allegations of substandard care causing adverse outcomes for patients at the center are unsubstantiated, adding that care for patients under the age of 18 is provided with appropriate and well-documented parental consent as required by the university and the state of Missouri, consistent with general practice for prescribing medication to minors by university physicians. Now, Reed's own attorneys responded saying, look, they didn't interview her, and their own assertions prove that her claims were founded, that they do not provide care, they do not ask for consent from parents. Now, Jamie Reed also just today before air gave us an exclusive statement, and I want to read it. She says, the fact that the internal review reported not a single case of an adverse physical reaction is deeply suspicious. No area of medicine has a 0% adverse reaction rate. The internal report is a good example of why we don't let institutions facing credible allegations of wrongdoing investigate themselves. There are serious concerns regarding discrepancies and even the number of patients that they reported. The internal investigators never once spoke with me. The center's continued unwillingness to recognize problems with its practices leaves me more confident than ever that the state investigation will corroborate my allegations. So much more remains to be seen with the investigation by the Attorney General as this plays out, Nichole.
I know you will be following it all. Rich, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.